Okay, well, welcome back everyone. And I gotta say, here's a toast to all of our brothers and sisters that unfortunately may have capitulated today and sold out of their positions in these miners and other stocks as well because of all the manipulation happening in the markets today. So look, I feel for all of you that are in that position. Obviously, you got in maybe at higher prices at one point or another. And it has been great here the last, I would say, 4 months or so in not only Bitcoin, but also the Bitcoin miners. The good thing is if you still have some capital and you bought in at lower prices, you're probably doing pretty good here right now as it is. I'm still up on these guys here, barely on Bitfarms, but I'm still up on it, just barely. The other ones I'm still up quite nicely here. So this huge discount that we're seeing here right now, I'll be buying the dip here tomorrow. I just can't pass that up, unfortunately, here. I think it's just too good to be true. I have something nice to show you guys, I think, that might change your minds here going forward here. But we'll take a look at that. Obviously, miners were way down today, double digits, almost like 20% down on some of these guys here. Bitcoin crashed like crazy as well. Ethereum as well. Markets also crashed today. And really what has changed? Not much, other than some FUD that's being spread around the internet, the news, things like that, right? Investors looking for stock buybacks and they're not getting it, and they're throwing a little temper tantrum because they're not going to get their companies buying the stocks back. Instead, they're investing in the future, which to me is great, but for some people, it's just pandemonium. It's panic out there. So it is what it is. We've been through this before. This isn't the first time we've been through this in, what has it been now, 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this on YouTube. We've been in the bear markets before. We were in a similar situation last year in April with the miners going down like crazy. Everything was going down because of the tariff FUD that was happening there, and then everything rallied. We had the COVID crash that happened a couple years back, about what now, 5 years back, 6 years back. We had that. After that, things rallied. So this could still be a really good rally here going forward for us, but time will tell. Okay, so we have also IREN reported obviously today. Good news from them. The stock actually tanked. We also had good news from Cleanspark today. The stock also tanked. We got Hive also reporting their production updates for January. We'll talk about that. They actually did pretty good there. And then we'll get into Q&A here. So we'll bear with me here while we go through this. And as always, you guys know this. Full disclosure below that, right? Not financial advice. You guys know the drill here. Let's get into what happened here today with Bitcoin and everything else. And we'll get into everything else at that point also. Okay, so Bitcoin. Quite the candle here today that we had on it. We were down 13.98%, almost 14% on the day. It just kept dropping. I mean, there were maybe a couple hours out of that we had that were kind of in the green a little bit there. We were trying maybe something, but it was just, red after red after red. We just kept going down here. Nothing was stopping this fall from happening here. RSI got to a new recent low here. Got down to like 16 on the RSI side of things here. So this is what I wanted to show you all as far as when was the last time we had this. And if we go all the way back, and we got to go back quite a bit here to when we actually had around 16 here. If you look back, we're going back to 2023, 2020, where's it at? It was going back here to right there. There it is. Okay. So we touched this line back here as well. And lo and behold, what is that? Monday, the 16th of March of 2020. What was that? That was COVID, right? We had that big drawdown here at that point. And after that, what happened? We had a nice rally. We went up quite tremendously here. All right, so if we went from the bottom here to the top here, and then next, basically, I guess this would be a year, more or less, 396 days, something like that. We got up to basically 1,570% increase in Bitcoin price at that point after we bottomed out here. Not really, I wouldn't say it's completely similar to what we saw here, but the RSI is obviously similar to that. But the price action here was, I mean, it was tragic, and not only in Bitcoin, but also in the markets at that point. But everything rallied back relatively quickly here. So I'm thinking, hoping, maybe more hoping than thinking, that this is going to be a similar case here. Obviously, I don't expect us to go up about 1,500% from where we are right now. I'd like us to get at least back to where we were, which is above 100,000, getting closer to 150,000, maybe 180,000 in the next, I would say, 9 months, 10 months or something like that, if this is the way it's going to play out. Because, like I said, the RSI has never been this low except for this period of time here. We could probably go back further than that. We could probably also get it back here in 2018 as well, where the RSI was actually lower at that point. where we, I think, bottomed out in Bitcoin at that point around 3,000. And during the COVID rally, we were also at 3,800, so we weren't too far away from that point as well. And then we rallied up to basically, what was it, 63,000, right? Okay, so something to keep in mind here. Sometimes the pain can actually give us pretty good rallies here going forward here. And we've had max pain here right now as it is, I think. So that might set us up nicely here for the next leg of this. Time will only tell. We could completely go down even further. Some people are calling for Bitcoin to go down like 50,000, 45,000 even. It's like, okay, yeah, that is a possibility there. But with the R side the way it is, not only on the daily, the weekly even. The weekly is pretty low here. It is right now at 26 here. Last time we were back here, this was in June of 2022, right? So even during the April fall that we had last year during the Trump tariffs, we didn't go this low on the RSI at that point. So maybe I think this might be the bottom here. We might be bottoming out here on it, which would be obviously good. And again, really for really no reasons other than FUD being spread out there. For Bitcoin, it's been obviously quantum being an issue that, quantum's going to take over and it's going to null and void basically the security layer in Bitcoin. We've had also FUD in the AI Bitcoin miner side of things that, well, there's many things to talk about there we could go into. I'm not going to go into it because we've dealt with it many times before. But you guys know what the FUD is out there. Okay, so I think I don't want to put my name on the line here, but I think we might be getting close, or really, really close to the bottom here. If we don't, I'm going to be surprised. Let me put it just that way. I think this might be the bottom here. Could go down a little bit lower. I mean, obviously today we tested $60,001 here, right? Or at least maybe not today, but on the new day, right? So for Friday here, we went down to a low of $60,001.00 there. Time will tell, but I think this might be the bottom for sure. But again, I could be wrong on that. We'll obviously talk about it if I'm wrong as well. All right, Ethereum today, also a really bad day. Nonetheless, here it was down 14.95%. So it didn't do that great. Bitcoin, what was Bitcoin down? Bitcoin was down almost 14% as well. So both those were down quite a bit there. Dow Jones was down 1.2%. NASDAQ was down 1.59% as well. S&P was down 1.23%. Russell was down 1.8%. Everything was down in the markets today. Miners, holding companies, obviously, everything was down. So Bitfarms was down to 16% here on the day. It's down at $1.71 right now. That thing obviously broke through all of the SMAs here. BitDeer was down 11.82% also. Kango was down 14.38%. Cypher was down 10.88%. CleanSpark was down 19.13%. There, a lot of these guys were down in the after hours as well after they reported. CORZ was down 8.27%. That broke past the 200 SMA. Hive was down 12.23%. It hasn't been this low since going all the way back to August of last year. HUT8 here was down 17.89%. IREN was down 11.46%. At one point during the after hours, was like down another 14%, 19%, something like that. Something crazy. Maro was down 18.72%. This thing is way, way oversold here as well. I mean, this thing hasn't been this low in price. Gosh, since when? Oh my gosh, we're going way back here at that point. We're going all the way back to 2023 at that point. That's just a little crazy here. Riot was down 14.71%. Wolf was down also 14.12%. MicroStrategy was down 17.12%. This thing hasn't been that low since August of 2024, basically going almost a year and a half back. What else we got here? Galaxy was down 16.49%. Those candles are just wicked here. Block was down 7.05%. Coin was down 13.34%. Metaplanet was down 7.22%. Exodus was down 11.66%. Nexon here, for some reason, was actually green. Don't know how they squeaked that one out. It was up 0.11%. Phoenix was down 16.04%. That's kind of crazy there on that one as well. GameStop was down 1.16%. Small miners got beat down just as hard. Any was down 15%. It has been this low since maybe never. Looking at the chart here, we're going back to 2021. Yeah, that's at the lowest point there. Like I said, I'll be surprised if this one survives another year. Argo was down 17.52%. DigiPower was down 13.65%. DMG down 8.12%. Mawson was down 8.89%. Canon was down 13%. The Bitcoin miner ETFs all got beat up as well. BitQ was down 11.89. BKCH down 13.39. DAP down 13.11. WGMI 12.56. BMNR down 14.29. BitDigital down 14.97. BTCS down 9.57. Game was down 17.29%. SBED down 14.27%. Other companies that we track here: American Bitcoin was down 10.5%. Wi-Fi was down 10.7%. Open was down 6%. Oracle was down almost 7% there. Nibius was down 10.34%. Soluna was down 23.49%. Bakkt was down 14.73%. Fermi was down 11.98%. I mean, Google was even down 0.6%. Amazon was down 4.42%. They had great results also that came out today. I think I got something on them as well. Microsoft was down another 4.95%. This thing just continues to drop here. It hasn't been this low since, when was this? April 2025. So basically going back to last year, which is just crazy. Revenues have been increasing. Everything has been increasing, but the stock's still down, right? Go figure. But there was definitely a gap there on that price. So they filled that gap on that one. I think we'll be rocking and rolling here going back up on this one. NVIDIA was down 1.33. Tesla was down 2.17. EOS was down 9.03. And New AI was down 10.17. Again, I call it market manipulation. You guys can call it whatever you want. I think a lot of these people that didn't get into AI early enough are maybe kicking themselves in the back there a little bit and wanting to push these things down lower so they can buy them lower, and then we're going to go back up higher eventually. When that's going to happen, I think it's going to still happen this year, but time will tell. All right, so there's that. If we look at the miners here after hours right now, we can see BitDeer right now after hours is actually in the positive, 6.81% here, at least right now. We got Bitfarms. Where's Bitfarms? Bitfarms at the end of 8 o'clock was down 5.93%. On top of it, Cypher at 8 o'clock was down 10.59%, it looks like. On that one, yeah, 10.59. We got also Kango. Kango at 8 o'clock here, when it stopped trading, it was down 0.95%. We had CORZ Scientific. CORZ Scientific is still trading, it looks like. It is down right now just a little bit, 0.51%. Then we got CleanSpark. It's still trading. It's down 2.54%. It was down much more. You can see that on the chart as we go through it. It was down like 10% at one point. And then we got Hive here. Hive stopped trading at 8 o'clock. It's down at 4.96%. Hot 8 is after hours trading. Let's see, where's it at right now? It's down 2.22%. So things are starting to bounce back up a little bit for some of these guys here. IREN obviously got beat up quite a bit there, even though they had pretty good results there, 15.49% in overnight hours. I'm guessing people were expecting a deal or some sort, but man, they provided a lot of good news there. A new site as well for them, so go figure. Mara was down overnight hours just 0.59%, and we got Riot here. Riot in after hours is flat, and then we got TeraWolf here. TeraWolf at 8 o'clock was down 3.23% overall. Okay. So there's that. If we look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin's down 18.02% here in February right now. Much worse than what we saw in January, even in December, and even in November and October. We got shellacked here in February right now. Great Valentine's Day gift, I guess. If it stays at this point, I mean, wow. To me, it's just crazy. But that's just my own opinion there. Obviously, the markets think otherwise. Okay. Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows. We had outflows yesterday of 544 million. Today, 258 million so far without IBIT reporting. We'll see what that actually comes in at tomorrow. But I'm guessing it's going to be probably pretty massive there considering what happened today with Bitcoin. But nonetheless, here's some of the stuff that we do have. Some good news, possibly. Amazon CEO said the vast majority of its CapEx is going into AWS, with AI infrastructure driving most of the growth as demand continues to outpace installed capacity. Oh my gosh, where have we heard this before? We've heard this from Google. We've heard this from, who else has it been? Google, we've heard it from Microsoft as well. We've been hearing just this all the time here recently from a lot of these hyperscalers, from these big guys. And yet they're being beaten down because their CapEx are increasing for this year. It's like, well, if you want growth and you have all this demand, you got to build out to get the revenue from that. And it's just crazy to me to think that certain investors would think that that's a bad thing, right? They're not getting their stock buybacks, and they're mad about that. And, the company's spending more money, and they're mad about that. It's like, are you crazy? They're going to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue in the future here, which the stock market should be future-based, right? So if they're going to be generating more revenue in the future, why are you opposed to this? This doesn't make any sense to me. That's why say it, to me, it seems like manipulation for them to beat the prices down on all this stuff. They can get in at much lower prices and then, rolling back up. Let's see here. He added that AWS is monetizing AI capacity as fast as it comes online, while Trainium is now a multi-billion-dollar run rate business that's fully subscribed. I mean, insane results, and stock was down. So to me, this is great news. Obviously, this means that there's a lot of demand for AI. It's going to continue here into 2026, into 2027, and potentially into 2028 as well. I don't see that stopping here anytime soon. This here, I probably should have moved that up over to Cleanspark right there. We'll cover that here in a second here. This is from Wolf of Wall Street's Bitcoin Daily. RSI is currently the third lowest it has ever been, and Coinbase 2018 and the COVID crash are the only lower points. I am panic buying. And I view it the same way. I said in the beginning, or at least I commented here in the comments, that I'm looking to buy tomorrow because the way things have fallen the last week or so, and obviously the last 3 months, 4 months, this is a great buying opportunity. This is where fortunes are made in these bear markets where people are freaking out, selling out. This is where you want to be buying, or dollar cost averaging, if anything. Not financial advice. That I'm looking to buy, and I'm actually looking to buy maybe quite substantially here as well. Probably toying with the idea of, I got some, you guys are going to call me crazy here, but I do have some home equity that I could pull out if I wanted to. Access to it right now, I could pull out, 5 to 10,000 out of that quite easily, and then also from just the amount that I have in my checking account as well, I could probably pull in another 2,000 on top of that. So I'll be somewhere in that range tomorrow. It's obviously not a lot. Some of you guys have a heck of a lot more money, but to me, it's a substantial amount here, and obviously the build out here, I'm hoping I don't have to pause it, but I may pause it just for a little bit so I can buy in while things are low right now. All right, next here, we'll get into obviously the stories on Cleanspark, IREN, and Hive as well. So this is from Ernest Hamilton, friend of the show here. Cleanspark, this is the clearest. Matthew Schultz has spoken on HPC initiative for Cleanspark. Select group of potential counterparties, obviously, that's good. These discussions are no longer theoretical. We are operating from tenant-driven specifications, not internal assumptions, which is great. So advanced diligence across multiple sites, which is also great, and including power, studies, cooling, validation, and commercial structuring. So they are pretty, seems like they're pretty, what's what I'm looking there for? Pretty confident that they will get a deal with somebody here, right, for their sites, or one of their sites, or at least potentially other sites as well, which is great news. Yes, the stock didn't do well, obviously, because of the earnings reports. Earnings were way off, obviously, because of Bitcoin price coming down. They got a big hit on the FSB impact as well as part of it. So it is what it is. And let's take a look at here, their slideshow here. Their presentation for Cleanspark, fiscal year 2026 first quarter earnings call here. I listened to the conference call as well. I think they're doing all the right things. They obviously got sites, everything else, and they're talking to customers, which is great. And it looks like some of those talks are progressing quite nicely here as well. So that's good news there. Let's see, Cleanspark evolution, obviously, power land and portfolio expansion, AI data center development, megawatt monetization, which is kind of what we're hearing from all these guys here. And then here are all their sites: South Dakota, Wyoming, Mississippi, Texas are the new sites as well, Georgia, Tennessee. So they have currently 1.8 gigawatts basically contracted capacity. And their current operating Bitcoin mining fleet is at 16.07 joules per terahash, which is pretty good there. They provided us with a Sandersville, Georgia additional parcel test fit. They're looking to see how they could fit the data centers into that site there. So they are progressing on that as well. And then I think that's like a 200 some megawatt site, I believe. So that would be really nice if they could actually capitalize on that one. Get a tenant for it as well. What else we got here? Obviously, the other stuff, you guys can take a look at it. I thought it was just those couple of things that were kind of interesting there. At that point, and I think that's it for that. So if we take a look at, let me see if there's anything else here for Cleanspark. Oh, just their press release here. We'll get into that as well, and then we'll get into my numbers here for them and go over the results there quickly, because we do have still 2 other stories to cover. So this is from Matt Schultz, Cleanspark CEO and Chairman. We've strengthened our financial foundation, secured up to 890 megawatts of high quality utility potential capacity in the Houston region, and materially advanced our Sandersville site with the acquisition of additional 122-acre parcel as we progress towards AI tenancy. So that's great. Down here, I think that's basically it. Other than that, obviously they had a quarterly loss, right? Quarterly revenues were 181.2 million. Net loss for the 3 months ended was 378.7 million. A lot of that was obviously from the FSB impact on the Bitcoin hodl that they do have. So that was mostly that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Cash position is still looking good there. Bitcoin valued at roughly 1 billion. That's obviously before today. Total current assets 1.5 billion. That's a little bit less as well because obviously Bitcoin came down today. All right, let's take a look at their numbers that we do have here for CleanSpark. They currently have 255.7 million shares roughly. They have not added, or at least they haven't diluted much here in the last quarter. Only like a couple thousand shares, which is really, really good to see. So they've been doing really good on that. Love seeing that. Market cap right now is 2.1 billion for them. Stock price 827 here. Those obviously I think were closed today, but obviously the performance of the last 12 weeks has been mixed, like it has been for others also. Current hash rate 50 exahash. Future hash rate is supposed to be somewhere around 57, 60 exahash potentially. Megawatts currently 1.4 gigawatts. Megawatts. Megawatts should be MW there. Megawatts pipeline is around 3 gigawatts, I believe. For it, obviously they only have about 1.8 secured right now, but they're still working on the other part of it. Bitcoin HODL, as the last reported, was 13.5. That's about 872 million right now. It's definitely come down half from where it's been. So it was at 1.6 billion roughly, but it has come down quite a bit there. Looking at their numbers down here, last 4 quarters revenue has come down. Bitcoin price came down. That's a result. Network hash rate actually increased. Difficulty increased at that point as well. So hash rate didn't grow. That's a result. We're going to see that happening going forward as well. Current quarter, we're estimating about 153 million there. That came really close to their number though. Last 4 quarters operating cost minus depreciation actually came down a little bit here for them. Was 95.62. So that actually came down from the 97.26. So that's a nice improvement there. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation actually went up a little bit as well, about 3,000 roughly to 52,000 for them. Bitcoin mine quarterly came down to 18.21. Debt to equity, lower is better. They're at 1.4. That's mainly because of the convertible notes. Current ratio higher. That also increased quite nicely then for them, 2.5. So that's good there. Total current assets 1.4 billion. Total current liabilities 139 million there. So that's looking actually pretty good for them. Going down here, I mean, there wasn't anything really that massive here as far as results. The only thing, like I said, was the FSB impact. The FSB impact was huge for them. So over the quarter, current assets increased quite nicely for cash and cash equivalents, 458 million there. We also had obviously digital currency came down to 830 million and 144 for receivable from Bitcoin collateral. Property and equipment increased a little, actually went down a little bit to 1.358 billion from 1.36 billion. And total assets ended up being at 3.326 billion, up a little bit from 3.183 billion in the end of the prior quarter. Liabilities actually decreased to 139 million from 315, so that's good there. Total liabilities 1.9 from 1. Obviously, the convertible notes portion of that is a big one on that. And then total liabilities to stockholder equity came in at 3.3 billion right now, and they are at what, 2 billion right now? It looks like. Right, so a little bit mispriced there potentially. And down here, revenues, 181 million. I had them at a little bit higher, but slightly. I was still at 181 million and then like 300 some 4,000 or something like that. So we're pretty close to that. Expenses, cost of revenues came down at least, right? 95.621 million from 97.259. So that was good there. Professional fees also went up a little bit here from 3.9 to 5.4, looks like. Payroll went down quite a bit, 23 million here from 51. The big one on that one was stock-based compensation, I think it was, for Matt Schultz, the prior CEO there. Also their payment to get him paid off. That was a big one there, so it's definitely come down here. Still up from where we were in Q3, but not as high as we were here in Q4 for them. So that actually is looking good there. General administrative expenses went up a little bit to 15.4 from 14.2. They obviously hired on some more people there as well. And what else do we have here? Again, on fair value, obviously that was the hit there, 246 million hit on Bitcoin. And then we had depreciation being kind of in line, 106 million compared to 108 million, so that was fine. Cost of revenues came in at 497 million, so 211 million. Big hit was the cost on Bitcoin there. Going down here, what else do we have here? That's it, I think. Let's see, income loss before taxes and expenses or benefit, 410 million loss instead of 403 million for the year, 403 million for the year. They had 25 million in the Q4 there, it looks like. So they were down, let's see, That should have been, I think, $13.50. No, $1.35 a share. I think maybe was the loss there. For some reason, I have $135. I think that's wrong. I'll have to double check it, but I think it was a $1.35 loss per share instead of $135. So that is wrong. I got that mixed up here. Put the point in the wrong spot at that point. But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for obviously the FSB impact and everything else, things were looking much better here. Bitcoin production was still pretty good, all things said and done, right? Bitcoin obviously came down in price. Hash rate went up, difficulty went up as well. As a result, they did actually not too bad. The great thing is that they are progressing with AI build-outs. Well, they're looking for tenants. They're working on that. And it seems like they're pretty confident they're going to get something happening here, I'm guessing, within the next 6 months or so. I'm guessing somewhere around there, maybe faster, which would still be great here. But based on the last 3 quarters, the current quarter that we're in right now, I have them between 22.20 and 33.30. If we use their last figures for January as far as revenues are concerned for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin stays where it's at that point, and they generate the same kind of revenue here month over month. I have them between $18.32 and $27.49. They're at $8.27 right now. Yeah, I'd say that they are undervalued quite a bit here. So I will be looking to buy a little bit more of CleanSpark tomorrow as well. Bitfarms is definitely going to be on my radar as well. And then after that, I'll be looking to get some more probably Cypher and IREN as well. I'm going to try to divvy it up as best as I can and just go across the board on all the ones that I like on it. So overall, I would say a good job by the team there, right? I mean, they had no control over Bitcoin, what Bitcoin was going to do. Nobody controls that. But the good thing is that I like I said, is that they are working towards AI businesses and things like that, tenants, customers. So love seeing that. I think that's going to definitely help the stock out going forward here. And from things that we're seeing here with, CEOs of companies saying that they have more demand than they have available for AI, and they're trying to build out as fast as they can. This is going to bode well for obviously all these guys that are in this space that have a lot of megawatts and sites that could be utilized for AI. Okay, so nice job there. Happy camper right now. Obviously, I'd be happier if the stock was up higher, but everything's been coming down here, so it's no fault of their own. Everything's been beaten down. All right, next here, we're going to get into Hive here really quick as well. Hive reports, obviously, their operational update for January here. This is, so Hive today, they announced exceptional Bitcoin production results for January, highlighted by 280% year-over-year hash rate growth, highly competitive fleet efficiency, and consistent performance across its Tier 1 and Tier 3 data centers worldwide, which is great. Bitcoin produced 297 Bitcoin, 181% year-over-year. Average hash rate was 22.2 exahash as well. There is some good news down below here. Let's see here. Strategic execution is responsible growth. Hive realized approximately 7.4 million in value through their cashless exercises of 480 Bitcoin tied to its 2025 Bitcoin pledge at an average valuation of approximately 102,000 at that point, including exercises done at 110 per Bitcoin. These cashless exercises have preserved treasury flexibility. Remaining pledge redemption timelines were extended, while securing Bitcoin downside protection, reflecting the company's discipline and risk-aware capital management strategy. So that was good there. Excuse me. The company has no cash calls required to buy back Bitcoin under the pledge. Rather, the pledge provides Bitcoin downside protection, which is great, with potential upside realized through cashless exercise when Bitcoin is above the pledge strike price. Certain proceeds of the cashless exercise have been applied towards the purchase of 2,667 Bitmain S21 XP ASIC miners, which is great. So they're going to be increasing their hash rate a little bit more there. These new air-cooled Bitmain S21 XPs have been received in Paraguay and are being installed this week in Yaguza, upgrading and replacing legacy bus miner ASICs. So if you recall, those were the ones that they did. They made those basically internally with, what were the chips from? Were the chips from Intel chips? I guess it's going back quite a few years. So they did those. I think those were like 140 terahash, 120 terahash, something like that. So going forward, this is expected to increase Hive's installed global hash rate to 25.5 exahash and improve its global average fleet efficiency to 17 joules per terahash, which is pretty good. And then these upgrades enhance operational efficiency, lower the cost per terahash, and therefore improve operating margins, which is great to see that. All right, let's get into Hive here, see how they are doing right now. They're not doing great. Shares, right, 236 million out there. Market cap 476 million as it is right now. Performance has been not great over the last 12 weeks. Current hash rate 25. Obviously, they got some more miners. I have to add those in. I'll add those in probably tomorrow. Kind of getting late now to add those in, but future hash rate right now, 25.5 basically is what we have. Megawatts, we know that. Bitcoin HODL, they don't report anything, so I'm guessing they don't have anything. As far as production is concerned, last month they were at 306. That's kind of where they peaked at for Bitcoin production. They were down a little bit, not much. They were down about 9 Bitcoin here for January, 297. So that's actually still really, really good there for them operationally wise. Monthly Bitcoin mining revenue here down to 26.98 million, down from their peak, which was at 30.22 million in September. That's kind of where Bitcoin kind of peaked at that point as well, and then we've been coming down ever since on that. Even though their production has been increasing, right, Bitcoin price has been going down, they're generating less revenue. Bitcoin HODL, like I said, I'm not sure they HODL anything right now. Hash rate has been pretty much a 25 exahash here for the last 5 months. Bitcoin sold, looks like they sold everything there. BTC per exahash efficiency is still really good at 11.88, always like one of the top ones there for it. And Bitcoin sold value, they sold obviously everything, I'm guessing on that part. Going down here to institutions. Institutions did decrease a little bit to 172. Shares, however, did increase to 72 million there. And percentage owned went up to 32.8. This is from the institutions and analyst ratings. We still have now 7 strong buy ratings. We used to have 1 buy rating. That got turned over into a hold here. And price targets actually went down for them to $10 for the high from 11. Average went down to 750 and the low went down to 350 here. Given that where they are right now, let's see where they at right now. $2.01. Yeah, they're undervalued even from the analyst numbers right now as it is. Operations for January here, looks like they were operating for about 26.58 days overall, which is still really good considering obviously the cold winter that we've had here. And based on that and everything else, based on the operations here for January, I do have that. Okay, I updated that. I have in between 727 and 1091 right now as it is. They are getting a slight discount on the PE because they don't have any operations here in the United States. But still, that is in line with what the analysts are looking at, right? $10 to, well, on the low end side. On the average side, we're right there. Between the high and the average, it's kind of where I think they should be valued right now as it is. They are undervalued in my opinion. But you guys know my feelings. I mean, they've had a great run here this past year with the growth that they've seen in selling their hash rate. Everything else, they've done a fantastic job here. As you guys always know, my only contention is that they're not U.S. based. They don't have any operations in the United States. I keep thinking that that's going to be maybe a little bit of holding them back a little bit as far as stock price appreciation, but I still think they should be at least valued somewhere between 727 and 1091 on the higher end side of things here. Right? Bitcoin bounces back up, everything else goes nicely. We could definitely see them getting back up to those levels and maybe even higher, depending where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin, does go into a rally mode here after this massive drop that we've had here this past couple months. So all I can say is keep it up, and we'll see how they do going forward. Guess it's going to highly depend on obviously Bitcoin for them, and plus they're building out data centers as well for the tier 3 for AI. So there's going to be some added revenue from that going forward as well. Hopefully, right? All right, so there's Hive. Let's get into IREN here as well. IREN obviously provided their earnings. I listened to the conference call there as well. I mean, it's great to see that they got the site in Oklahoma. That one is 1.6 gigawatts, going to be powering up in 2028. So that is a little ways out, like 2 years out. But they are getting more sites, obviously, for future growth as well. They've stated that they have interesting conversations or pretty productive conversations with potential customers that are not only interested in these latest data centers that are for liquid-cooled chips, but also for air-cooled chips, because the customers are seeing so much demand that they want to bring stuff up online as fast as possible. And they stated that the site in Childress can quickly be transitioned to air-cooled AI centers for GPUs with minimal CapEx expenditure there, which would be great. And right, I mean, they got a lot of things on their plate right now with customers, which is great. So it's just one of those things that we're going to have to be a little bit patient on and see what deals get inked when. But I'm expecting probably multiple deals this year from them on their sites that they do have here. Plus, they're also talking about growing their own GPU cloud as well. And we do have some highlights here as well. So highlights, 3.6 billion GPU financing secured for Microsoft contract at less than 6% interest rate. That has got to be like one of the best rates that we've seen here in these data center players. Strongest customer demand to date with multiple advanced negotiations as execution continues and financing progresses. So that's awesome there. Targeted 140,000 GPU expansion, on track to deliver 3.4 billion AI cloud annual run rate by the end of calendar year 2026. I wonder if that's their calendar year, which is the middle of the year. So I don't think it's that. I think it might be just the regular calendar year. Horizon 1 and 4 construction progressing to schedule for 9.7 billion Microsoft contract there. And British Columbia AI cloud expansion ongoing with, what is that, 400 million annual run rate under contract for Prince George, and remaining contract negotiations supporting greater than 5 billion annual run rate, which is awesome to see that. So add all that stuff up. It's going to be looking good there. And then also the new 1.6 gigawatt site in Oklahoma, increasing secured grid connected power to greater than 4.5 gigawatts. That is the biggest, I think, I've seen here out of the bunch here that we cover right now. So everybody there is doing a fantastic job growing. Covered that already. They got 200 plus founder-led team, right? Integrated development to operations execution capabilities. They're calling it the 3 C's here: capacity, customers, and capital. That's how they're working on it. Capacity. Let me see what else was there that I wanted to point out to you guys. There's something else. Okay, Prince George, Mackenzie, Canals Flats, Childress, Sweetwater. Obviously, that's all progressing there as well. I'm trying to see if there's any customers. There we go. Demand accelerating. AI compute demand continues to outpace supply. Time to data center is the key constraint here. All right. Hyperscalers and enterprise customers actively pursuing both liquid and air-cooled GPUs to accelerate deployment. Vertically integrated rapid deployment model differentiates IREN via in-house delivery and secure power, which is true. And yeah, I mean, all the great things there, right, from them. There's a lot of growth going to be happening here. So, I mean, it was just crazy to see the stock actually going down today. I think it was people were expecting the stock or expecting the team there to provide maybe a deal with somebody. We didn't get that, so everything kind of crashed down here. But yeah, also the revenues were down a little bit. On top of that, we'll cover all that. And then also they had stock-based compensation expense of $58.2 million, including $22.3 million of accelerated amortization on performance-based restricted stock units on stock options driven by materially higher share price. Obviously, the share price went up to $80-some, right? We're close to that, which exceeded the defined performance threshold. So yeah, I mean, the stock went up there. They got the benefit of that as well. So that's fine. I mean, obviously, a lot of us have done really good with IREN here in this past year. So I do not begrudge them on getting that kind of a reward there. Talked about the GPU financing already a little bit as well. What else was there? I think that's it. Definitely listen to the conference call if you haven't already. They do have a replay going on with it right now. And definitely, it's always worth listening to see what they have to say on it, right? But they have a lot of megawatts that can be energized here in short order here. So here's what we got for them. Let me see here. What do we got? Talked about the 3.6 billion GPU financing secured, targeted 140,000. Talked about that as well. The new site, we covered that also. Let's see here. Grid studies complete with power scheduled to ramp up from 2028 here. So that's going to be happening in the future. They can definitely, that's a large site too. It's 2,000 acres with low latency network connectivity. All right. Financial results here. Net income loss, EBITDA, were impacted by significant non-cash and non-recurring items, primarily unrealized losses related to prepaid forwards and capped call associated with convertible notes versus significant unrealized gains on such positions in Q1, together with the one-time debt conversions and inducement expense totaling $219 million. Mining hardware impairment of $31.8 million related to ongoing ASIC to GPU transition across British Columbia. And their hash rate is actually down to 44 exahash, so they're down on that. I saw that someplace. I think I actually updated this sheet there for me. And then stock-based compensation obviously was $58.2 million, including $22.3 million of accelerated amortization on performance stock-based. We talked about that. And then partially offset by an income tax benefit, primarily on the release of previously recognized deferred tax liabilities relating to the unrealized gain on financial instruments of $182.5 million. Okay, that's basically it there. Let's take a look at them here on the sheet, and we'll call it a day. So shares did increase, not a lot, but they did increase by like 17%, I think. So shares outstanding right now is 332 million. That gives them still a market cap of 13.2 billion here. So they're still doing pretty good. Their stock price obviously is lower that, and then that in the after hours, but the stock price ended up at the end of the day at $39. So the market cap's probably a little bit lower there. I mean, they've actually had pretty good performance over the last 12 weeks. All right, they were up almost 16% from 12 weeks. From 8 weeks, they were up almost 34%. From 4 weeks, they were up 16%. And then obviously last week they were down, and then this week they were down huge as well. And then current hash rate. Okay, so Bitcoin mining side of the business is now 46 exahash Future, I'm guessing, going to be 46. I think they're going to be probably selling those machines going forward. The ones that get transitioned into AI data centers, those machines that were in there, if they can, they'll put them someplace else. If not, they're going to be probably sold off, I'm guessing. At that point, let's see, we increased their megawatts pipeline as well to 4.5 gigawatts there. And then I've changed this side of the, it's not really Excel sheet, but part of the sheet here with all the data. I got rid of a lot of the Bitcoin mining side of things since they don't report it anymore. And I've converted it more into the quarterly results on a lot of this stuff here, like Bitcoin mined, the mining hash rate, Bitcoin revenue, all that stuff, AI cloud revenue services as well. So it's been changed up. You guys will get the update on that also. So here's what we have. Bitcoin mined here for the quarter was 1,664. Definitely down from where they were in Q1 at 2,039, but that's expected, right? Bitcoin price was coming down. Their hash rate actually decreased. That's fine. Mining hash rate also decreased. We talked about that. That 46 exahash here. AI cloud services revenue is up to 17.2 million there for the quarter, which is a nice increase from the 7 million that they had there. And I'm expecting that to actually increase here each quarter as we go quite nice. We could see a nice parabolic increase in that as the quarters progress here. And then we're currently estimating about 4 billion annual run rate here, including Bitcoin revenue as well, part of it. That's kind of the numbers that I'm using there in the next year or so. Probably in the next year and a half, I'm guessing, by the time they get everything energized for Microsoft, for their own GPUs and all that stuff. It might be by the end of the year there. Bitcoin revenue here was at 167 million, so definitely down from the 232 million. They're still generating a lot of revenue here. Things are still not bad there for them. And then net loss gain here was obviously negative 155 million for the quarter. They were at 384 positive for Q1. Cost to mine one Bitcoin has actually come down based on my numbers here. Went down to 38,000 per coin from 39. So that was actually kind of nice to see that. Even with the network hash rate increasing, difficulty increasing, all that, they were still able to keep it pretty good low number there. Selling general administration expense here was 100 million on that. Total revenues for the quarter, 184 million, down a little bit from the 240, but as we get more AI, GPUs installed, everything else, that should start to scale up quite nicely here. And then operating cost was 166 million with everything included there. Debt to equity, lower is better. That one is up to 1.79. That is a result of their convertible notes. Also, current ratio, higher is better, is at 4.93. So still really healthy balance sheet. Nothing to complain there. Total current assets, 3.3 billion right now, and total current liabilities of 682 million. Things look great for them at that point. Looking at their quarterly results here, we'll take a look at some of the stuff here. Total current assets, we talked about that already for the most part. I didn't see anything that was major change in here on that one. Property and equipment went up to 3.1 billion, so about $1 billion increase in that. That was a big increase there. Deposits and prepaid expenses jumped up to 148 million from 30 million there on that one. Intangible assets, this is a new one that got added in here. That is 107 million there. On that one, let me see here. Finance assets actually went down to 0 from 681. Derivative assets went down a little bit as well to 215 from 314. So total non-current assets was 3.6 billion. Total assets 7 billion right there. So that looks good. Accounts payable increased to 576 million. Obviously, they're building out, they're buying GPUs, all that stuff. So that's going to increase for sure on that. But total current liabilities went up to 682 million there. Total current liabilities, that's 682. Let me see. Total non-current liabilities was 3.8 billion. That's mostly because of the convertible notes payable, right? 3.6 billion on that. Total liabilities was 4.5 billion with the current liabilities. And then total stockholder equity was 2.5 billion. Total stockholder equity or total liabilities and stockholder equity came in at 7.027 billion on that. Revenues, talked about that already. For self-mining, 167 million, still a cash cow for them on that side of things. AI business also increasing quite nicely, so that was good to see that. Selling general administration, we talked about that. It was actually down from 138 million in Q1, right, to 100 million here. So that was at least a good part of it. Depreciation went up to 99. Let's see what else here. Impairment of assets, 31 million. That was the Bitcoin miners there. Other expenses was only 5.4. And operating profit loss was 116 million on that side of things. And the net, let's see here, what else we have here that was interesting. Finance expense went up a little bit to 10.6. Interest went up to 15. Or interest income on that. Unrealized gain loss in financial instruments. We talked about that 107 million there. On that one, debt conversion of instruments also 111 million on that. So total net loss gain income from for the period was 155 million, and it looks like that came out to be negative 52 cents per share, right? So shares did increase here. Shares increased down up here. Where's it at? It is right there. Okay, so 332 million. So they increased by about 50 million shares there, roughly 17% increase. And so that is kind of high. Would have liked to see that be a little bit lower, but they're in huge growth mode. I'm okay with it. Stock has done great. I'm okay with it right now as it is. Stock-based compensation. Let me see. Did I not pull that? I probably should have pulled that in. I thought I pulled it in down below. Maybe I didn't. That was only, let me see here. Did I pull that in down on the bottom? Stock-based compensation. I did not. Okay, I got to pull that in to figure that out. But overall, if we look at some of the other metrics here that we do have here, let's see here. Where's it at? Percent of SG&A of revenue was 54% there. That was obviously, a lot of it was based on the stock-based compensation, probably half of it. So that would have been probably down like to 25%. I would have liked to see that much lower here, like where it was before in like Q3. We were at 10% at that point, 12% we were coming actually down. Would like to see that below that range again. And I'm sure we'll get there maybe by the end of the year, we'll get there again, maybe even lower if we get some nice revenues happening in here for them. Okay, based on that, where we are right now with it, if we look at the last 3 quarters, January, March, December, yep, those are all the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter, which I don't really know where they're going to be. I'm guessing, it's probably guessing a little high here. On that set, I'm going to guess for the current quarter that we're going to be around Bitcoin mining and maybe AI revenue as well, around 200 million. Or it might be actually less. Let's just do 150 million there on it. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 150 million. Oh, what happened there? Why can't I just put in 150 million? Should be able to put it in. 1, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. So that gets us, at least right now, with current numbers that we do have here for them from what they're generating, approximately 1761 to $26.41. They're currently at 39, right? So they're really not being valued on past performance, are being valued more so on future performance. Excuse me. So when we look at future performance here, HPCI, right, they're calling about 3.4 billion. Bitcoin, if Bitcoin just stays where it's at right now for the next 12 months, this is kind of what the revenues would be, right around 670 million. We know it's going to probably come down here. So let's just deduct them by 0.75% or make it 75% of that only. So let's just say that we get 75%. Oh gosh, what is up with this thing today? I probably need to put in times 0.75%. All right, that gets us to $117 per share to $176 per share, right, with a total annual run rate of 3.9 billion. Obviously, if Bitcoin does well, goes up in price, they could definitely do much better at that point. So they're at 39, maybe $32, whatever they are right now in after hours. Going to 170, well, I'll take $117, right? Could we get to 176? Yeah. Only because they have so many megawatts that they can still build out that it is going to be a lot of growth here going forward. So I'm happily investing in this one. Like I said, I'll probably look to buy more of it tomorrow, along with the others as well. Overall, I'm really happy with the way the company's performing there. I don't know if you guys are as well. You might not be because they didn't get a deal or something like that. I'm happy with the direction they're going. Right, I'm not investing for the next week. I'm investing for the next longer term. Right, so whether it's going to be the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it's going to be, before I'm happy with where things are going, and at that point maybe I'll take something out. But right now, you guys could call me basically like a longer term investor, because I've been in this thing for now going on 2 years in this one. I've been in CleanSpark since 2022, Bitfarms since 2022, Cypher since 2025. I invest usually in a dollar cost average down into these things and hold on to them until I'm happy with where things are at. All right, but that's it. So I'm happy. Nice job by the team there, getting another site, 1.6 gigawatts. Oh my gosh, that's huge. So a lot of growth happening here for them for the next, and this one might be one of those ones where I hold on to it for a couple of years. Maybe sell a portion of it, obviously, as it goes up, right? But keep a large portion of it still. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on this one because this one is definitely looking really juicy and looking well primed here to go up higher in the next 6 months, 12 months, whatever it might be. All right, that is it. Let's get into Q&A here. see what you guys have to say. And I got to take a sip of my adult beverage here, wash away my tears from today, and buy some more tomorrow. Okay. Let's see. Where do I want to go? I want to go to Q&A. There's a lot of questions here, so I'm going to try to get through these quickly here because I don't want to keep you guys up too late. It's already 10:50. We're going 50 minutes into it. So I'm going to try to just kind of go as fast as I can. Let me see what we got here. All right, Sarman says Bitcoin lost over half its value and there's no sign of it letting up. No good news for Bitcoin coming anytime soon. People can deny it, but this is literally about to hit winter territory. We're in winter territory already as is, being down 52% from the high. We're in winter territory as it is. If it's one of those things where we saw back in the COVID, where we had that huge crash, quick crash, and then we bounced off of it, that would be a good thing. If we progress forward and continue to go down in the next maybe 2 months, right? Maybe the first quarter is going to be basically, winter, bare winter, basically. We might be going obviously down more, and then we bounce from there. Still be pretty good. Could we bounce back to where we were just 3-4 months ago? Maybe by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Sarah says, these miners are such a waste of time. I went up from 54 year to date to down 22% in 1 week. Now it's going to take months to regain what we lost in like 4 days. Yeah, that's the painful part. And if you've been through this, you maybe are a little bit better. I wouldn't say prepared. I think maybe you've at least been through it, right? If you've never been through it, it is definitely very, very, very rough there. Let's see what else we got here. All right, Mark says, I am so disappointed we didn't get much of a bull run, but we sure got a bear market crash. Well, we did get a bull run in the miners. Remember, the miners went up nicely here through 2025, right into September, October timeframe, and then we've been coming back down here. They had a nice run. Bitcoin had a okay run, but it wasn't anything that we've seen in the past. Let's see. John says, this is very FU time as the NASDAQ is screwed after the Mag 7 had bad reports like Amazon today. IGV is toast and earnings are finished. Can't see this Bitcoin or miners going positive. Buy, not. Okay. All right. Mark says, I'm sorry, this is so depressing. All hard-earned money in the difficult time gone in a heartbeat. That's the markets for you. And I did tell you guys, I didn't say like you got to do it. I just said, there's no shame in taking profits when we were up much, much higher at that point. And depending when you got into it, obviously. So I know it's bad now, and it's always bad when we're down so much. But I honestly think we're gonna be better off in the next, 6-9 months, whatever it might be. Roger says, this feels fake, to be honest. Last bear market was Luna, Celsius, FTX going bankrupt, but here we dropped so hard and so fast without any news. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely weird in that regard. It does seem very manufactured, in my opinion. See, Daryl says, yes, this has been an absolute disaster and will be a long road to recover because we are now in a bear market. We have no choice but to hold until October when Bitcoin should start to rally again. It might rally faster here. I mean, we're down quite a bit. We're way oversold as it is. But again, we'll see, right? We'll see where we go. And if anything, we may have to dollar cost average in some more on these guys here, which at the end might actually be a good thing. Maybe we'll do a little bit better at the end. See, Mark says, I've never seen such a crash. Looks like people are not buying. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I saw today was there were a couple of people posting about that Bitcoin has now been taken over by paper, basically, right? You get paper through options, through futures. You have the ETFs as well. All of those things, right, are kind of like paper contracts. And it's been duped by that, and that's what's driving the price. But I don't know. To me, it just seems a little bit manufactured. Could be wrong. Let's see. Daryl says, LOL, me too, Seb. I think we're both crazy. So you're going to be buying more tomorrow. Darren's next show will definitely test Seb's optimism. Hopefully, you guys can feel the optimism is still good. I'm still positive long term. Joe says I'm down 550,000 in 2 days. It's a hard pill to swallow. Oh yeah. From last week, I'm down almost 700,000. So not a great feeling, but that's across the whole portfolio that I have, right? Crypto, miners, and my retirement account as well. Everything got beaten up. Not a great feeling. Do I need the money right now? Am I retiring right now? No. So that is kind of like saving grace for me. It's like I have time. I got another 20 years to work it off. If it all goes down to zero, I don't think it's going to go to zero. I think it's actually going to be much valued higher in the next year or so. So you got to know what you own also. All right, Sarah says, IREN and Cleanspark earnings were a complete disaster. These businesses are awful, but we all have given them excuse after excuse. Well, when things are going down, everybody's pessimistic, everybody's down in the dumps, everybody's complaining, everybody's whining, right? When they were at all highs, like IREN was at close to $80 or over $80 at one point, everybody was jubilant. Yeah, these companies are awesome. These companies are doing the great things. So it's funny how things change, right? What has really changed since then? Nothing has really changed. AI demand is still outrageous. The demand for megawatts is still outrageous. Nothing has really changed in that regard. You just have some people spreading FUD that, oh my gosh, the companies are not buying back the stocks. They're spending too much money on this. But yet you're seeing revenues on all of these guys for cloud AI increase. That's kind of, that you can't have one without the other, right? Then we're also having people or CEOs saying that they have so much demand, but they don't have the products that they want to give to their customers. So they need to build out. You can't have one without the other. Okay. All right. BTC says, so Amazon report was actually rather good, but the market is in a state where increased capex is being considered a very bad action. Yeah. I mean, go figure. Doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, okay, great. They're going to be growing. They're going to be generating more revenue here in the future, right? This is a really good thing to do. No, they're being punished for it. It's like, what? What else we got here? Christian says, Sebastian, on IREN share count almost doubled. Is it a discount, really? Well, depending when, doubled from when? Last quarter, obviously, it went up like 50 million shares, so it didn't really double. It went up 17%, so you got really 1/5 increase roughly. On that one, still not that bad. The stock is doing great. That's being valued, and they got probably, well, they say they have 95% of the money needed to build out the data centers for Microsoft. Bull says, hey Sebastian, what a disappointment with the miners this cycle. I ended up selling all my positions. I'm sorry to hear that. Depending when you got into them, if you got in at a much higher price, then yeah, you're not going to be happy. You might take out, and you might actually have gotten out at a positive here as well, depending when you got into them. Like I said, I'm still positive on some of these guys here, which is still really good, all things considered. James asks, what's up? Nothing's up right now. Everything's down. Well, Bitcoin's kind of up a little bit right now. Kamikaze says 50% from all-time high. Yep, real money is made in bear markets. I agree with you there. We're speed running the bear market. Kind of feels like it. Kamikaze says I'm buying, just waiting for my bonus. Nice. All into IREN. Okay. All right. Christian doesn't believe in manipulation, I guess. That's just an excuse. Bedtime's ahead. Haha, it's still an extended cycle. Well, right now, unless Bitcoin bounces, I would say no. So we need definitely Bitcoin to bounce here to save my hide here a little bit. But that was just, based on what I was seeing at that point, that's the thought process. I'm still thinking that maybe this is just a manufactured, drop on all this stuff here to let them buy in at lower prices, and then they're going to pump it back up. I mean, we saw this play out last year. A lot of these guys were running like crazy, right? Or they were coming down before that as well. I mean, nothing materially has changed in their growth projections, and their revenues are going to be generating going forward, but things were still going down. It doesn't make any sense. Because any news released now will be perceived as bad news because the macros are all bad. Macros, yeah, I mean, the job market is weak here. What other macros do we have that are bad? Jobs is basically the big one there. Inflation, I think, is kind of under control if you look at Trueflation. What else is bad? Jobs, hiring. right? Probably think of another one. Obviously, dollars being low, maybe bonds, maybe. Don't know. All right, bear market is still extended cycle. CleanSpark future. I mean, depending where if we bounce here and we're off to the races at this point, then I think we're still going to be going into the maybe extended cycle here, because this would be a really, really quick correction that we've had here in Bitcoin. Typically, the correction would last, gosh, over what was the past? The past corrections were like over a year, right? 2 year, a little bit over that. And we did that in basically like 4 months and a week. That would be great, and then we go up further. So time will tell. David says the 4-year cycle is algorithmic. It's just math. Not necessarily just math. It also depends on who's in it and when they got into it. I don't think it's just all math. Okay, Christian says, Sebastian, your bags will pump if you just admit there is no extended cycle. Okay, if my bags were to pump because of that, I will be admitting there is no extended cycle. Okay, let the bags be pumped. All right. Brett says, Seb told you the 4-year cycle would hold. The only thing that causes the bulls is halvings. 35,000 bottom. Okay, I mean, that might be the case. You might be right. Right now, the way we fell so quick, being down 50% with just month after month after month of drops, RSI is low. I think maybe this is it. Maybe we bounce from here. Time will tell. I will also be buying tomorrow if they don't rally before I can buy. Only 25% of my money I mentioned yesterday to watch out. Okay, nice. All right. Brett says we won't see another bull till 2029. Okay, so cycles, LOL. Look at the chart. Time will tell, right? Whether I'm wrong and you're right, or you're wrong and I'm right. Nobody has a crystal ball. We'll see. Right now, we can only go by what we saw. I mean, if you look at the RSI looks way, way, way too oversold here. And I got to move faster on these comments here. Let's see. Sarah says, I'm tired of people saying it's manipulation. Been hearing it for 4 years. All right. I will stop calling it manipulation. I will just say it's manufactured. We'll call it that. Let's see. Brett's saying cycle is playing out perfectly. Okay. Kamikaze, when it's down, it's manipulation. When it's up, it's manipulation. No, when it's up, I'm loving it. I don't call it manipulation. Well, maybe I have called it up. Maybe some people do. Christian says, right, so 4-year cycles. I wouldn't call it just yet. What else we got here? All right, Benny says, RSI means it's oversold, but that does not mean it won't sell off more. Correct. It can still sell off a little bit more. All right. Kamikaze says, so glad Chris is alive. Is it the same Chris? So remember, what's the new IREN share count? 332 million shares. Let's see. Christian says, I just literally remember being in this chat telling Seb this exact thing would happen. You might have. My memory's not that great. You might have told me that. But I have a lot of comments and things like that. I can't remember everything that everybody says, but if you did, you got it right. All right. But 77% from 126 is 31,000, so that's kind of what you guys thinking there. What else? You're trying to find something else. All right. S. Romani says bought 600 shares of Bitfarms yesterday, 500 more today, 200 shares on Cypher, 50 shares of IREN. Have another 10. Oh, nice. We'll invest there. There is another 20% drop. If there's another 20% drop. Okay. We were close to that. Obviously, on some of these guys here after hours. Excuse me. Kamikaze says buy the fear. I agree there. See, Christian. So that alone means half price. Rob, Seb, just a curious question about the price of Bitcoin. If I invest into an ETF like IBIT, does it have any effect on the share price of Bitcoin, or is that actual Bitcoin owners buying, selling that affects the share price? Depending how they buy it. If they buy it in OTC, if they don't buy it through the exchanges, then it probably may not impact it. Can't remember how they're set up on it. But so that's why I'm saying if they buy it in OTC, it may not affect the price. If they do buy it through exchanges, then it would affect the price. Christian says, push them lower. Christian, do you have short position on Bitcoin and these guys? It's okay if you do. I mean, I get it. Makes sense to do it. So it's got to go both ways, right? It's got to go up and it's got to go down as well. All right. Let's see, Millings, break even for Bitcoin miners is 92,000. They must be turning the machines off. More red to come for them, I'm afraid. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin right now is kind of at the price for electricity, at least. It's at the break-even point for electricity. So that's usually been a good tell as well, that Bitcoin has bottomed out at that point. And we should bounce. We'll see. Victor's question, what 3 miners were you buying? I'll be buying, like I said, probably Bitfarms, CleanSpark, Cypher, and IREN as well. MS is asking also, let's see, Michael's question, why is Bitcoin selling off so much, and do you think the bottom will be, and will Bitcoin go down to 50, 40,000, the lows? It could. I have no control of it. You have no control over it. Nobody has control over it. It is, I think, more so by the big guys, the institutions, all of those guys, the whales, all of those guys are controlling it, because why not, right? They can make money on the way up and they can make money on the way down. So they're going to use it to their advantage, which if I was in their position, I'd be doing the same thing. So we'll see where they're satisfied with the price going down, and then they're going to run it back up. I don't know on that one. Let's see. Aaron says, bought back into CleanSpark today, sold the top in November. Nicely done there. It feels good to be back in the trenches. Awesome. Well, great to have you back. All right, Carl. The crypto winter is coming very soon, in my opinion, but I also think AIPC miners will then break free from Bitcoin correlation. Right now, money is pulling out the Bitcoin holdings mining's value. Maybe. Yeah, you might have a point there. Maybe that's part of it. Where these guys have been obviously going down the last 2 days or so, similar to what Bitcoin has been going down, or maybe even more so. Michael says, looks like Google is going to fall back to 220. I mean, we could see a correction on them, like 10%, 15%. I don't know where they're at right now. All right. Christian says, Seb, do yourself a favor and look at actual AI revenue for OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, not blended cloud revenue. It's nothing there. Well, I'll take a look into it. Let's see. Christian says, Bitcoin, yes, it is a good buying opportunity. Okay. Let's see. JB says, personally, I'm waiting for CleanSpark to hit 650 before adding to my position. It might not get there. Be prepared for that. Mortem, is IREN missing opportunity by being too selective? Should they be going after colo deals? I don't think they're... Did they mention that they're not going after? I didn't hear that them mentioning anything about not going after colocation deals. I think they're just talking to everybody, trying to get the best, obviously, deal for them and for the shareholders there. All right, Jimmy says, I really don't want CleanSpark to close and stay below 650. I do believe that will be a bad sign for CleanSpark. It'd be a bad sign for everybody else as well. So when market opened today, I logged in and placed a buy order for 1,000 of CleanSpark at 712. Market closed, and the order auto expired. 18 minutes later, the price hit 711 unextended. Yeah. Let's see. Talked about that one. Friday trades will be euphoria. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be buying too. In IREN CC, not one time did they mention Bitcoin going full blown HP. Yeah. I also didn't hear anything about Bitcoin there as well. They're transitioning into AI full blown. Simon says CleanSpark stock performance isn't mixed. It's absolutely terrible. I can't really argue that. It hasn't been great. Morton, what is your take on the new ERCOT concerns for IREN? They already have the power and everything else, so I don't think that's an issue for them. For anybody new going into it, that might be a concern there, but they already have all the stuff there. Freddie question, do you think Bitfarms could go under $1 and CleanSpark under 5 over the next few months? If Bitcoin wicks down under 50,000, you can probably 5 to 10x of money if you full ported your entire portfolio. Could we go down that low if Bitcoin goes below 50? Yeah, we could probably go down that low, I would think. Let's see, CLSK, bag holder, do you think CleanSpark and BTC will recover by end of Q2? I would think by end of Q2 that we would recover, right? I think maybe even faster than that. We'll see in the next couple of weeks where things are going. We could get a dead cat bounce, some are saying that we could bounce back up to like 80,000 and fall from there. I don't know. I honestly do not know. All right, so it says these stocks give back their gains every single time. Yes, they are obviously very, very volatile. I will give you that. But I think it's like that with a lot of stocks that are obviously in growth mode that are young and growing. You're going to see that happening. I mean, even other stocks, we've seen, well, Tesla could be one that you could look at as well, right? Went way up and came way back down, and went way back up because of sentiment changes in the customers, or not customers, well, customers and also the investors there. So that does happen from time to time, even though there's nothing really different in the company. See, John says Amazon down 10% after hours to 200 tomorrow will be nasty, or it might get picked up here. Canadian says wrecked. Also, Bitcoin decouples from the miners and vice versa. Michael says looks like Hive going to fall to $1.25, but will this be support? Is the problem when Bitcoin is crashing? Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Okay, Christian says, my mistake, shares went from 282 million to 311, so at least not as bad. Yeah, they didn't double for IREN. Yeah, it only went up 57 million, about 17%. Kenny says, worst cycle ever. Shouldn't be surprised, though. I guess Wall Street got their mitts on crypto. Yeah, Bitcoin obviously getting to 126, 127,000, whatever it was not the blow off top that we were hoping for, that we would get. But the miners, again, they had at least nice run up here in the last third quarter of last year. We'll see if we can get back to those levels again this year, which I think we do. Let's see, will CleanSpark be low 750 or go much lower? If the question we all need to know. If Bitcoin continues to fall, and there's still that continued FUD around the AI companies and everything else, then yeah, we could definitely fall even more. CleanSpark kit, talked about that one already. All right. Kenny says, feels like the everything but crypto melt up. Should have just bought SPX or MSH. Yeah, I mean, you never know. I think that's the lowest seen this year for not sure who. Aaron, do you buy like a madman or on meth tomorrow, or do I buy just like a little bit of Bitfarms and CleanSpark? That's going to be your call there. I'm going to not try to buy everything that I have available to buy into, or the cash that I have in, but I'm going to try to nibble, right, to see if we're actually bottoming out here, or if we go a little bit lower, I still have some cash on the side that I can possibly buy in some more at that point if that happens. But that's just me. You got to do what's right for you. Let's see, Infinitely says, I'm just going to buy up IRENs through the dip like a psychopath. Okay. Sarah says, thank God, Christian, you had me worried there. That's probably on the number of shares. Freddie, do CleanSpark and Bitfarms have enough cash to survive a prolonged bear market, say about 1 year from now? Yes. I mean, CleanSpark's around $1 billion, I think. Bitfarms is also close to $1 billion in cash, so they should be fine and able to weather that. Should we be worried that any of these companies will go bankrupt? If so, which ones? Which ones would be the smaller ones? Any, right, was one of them. Mawson's another one. Who else? I'd have to look at some of the other miners that are out there that are smaller to see how well they're funded or capitalized right now. But the big guys here, I don't think so. Not in the next year. I don't see that happening. They're pretty well funded. They have a lot of these guys have a huge Bitcoin stash as well. They could deploy that if needed to. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case there. Kokani John, I'm tired, boss. I think we're all tired. I think we get more tired as things go down. We get more jubilant when things go up, though. But I'm with you there. I'm tired too, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. Michael, well, how low will CleanSpark go tomorrow? How low? I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I could tell you, but I really honestly do not know. Right. Kite wins. Assume the Bitcoin price keeps climbing a tiny bit without shakes, then low CleanSpark will be above 11. Yeah, I would think so. At tomorrow opening, that is back to 11. I don't know if it'll go back to 11. Assume the trend downward again. Then anything that matched the BTC levels, perhaps 7 to 6, possibly. Star says, everybody ready to lose more money tomorrow? I'm going to lose more money because I'm going to be buying more. Kamikaze says, it's a loss only if you sell. See, that's thinking positive there. I like that. Yeah. Let's see. And John, my portfolio took a beating today. Everybody's took. Yours isn't the exception there to the rule. Everybody got whacked today. Christian says, you are betting on AI too hard. I'm sometimes thinking not hard enough, to be honest with you. Sarah says, I'm not selling, but the ship is sinking quick. Okay. Christian says, you have also been pretty terrible at taking profits. Yeah, I know. I have said that before, that I have a different time frame mentality than most investors, right? And I'm perfectly capable of weathering these storms. I have a longer time frame that I can rebuild it if I need to. But when I get something stuck in my head as far as going in on something, I'm going to go in on it. And probably should have taken profits. You're right. I probably should have taken profits. And I tell everybody, don't do what I do. I'm just telling you guys what I'm doing and how I'm progressing through this. But yeah, if you're in profits and it's going to be changing money, life-changing money for you, take the profits. Ron says, Seb for president. No, can't do it. I am an immigrant to this lovely country. I love this country, but I could not run for president unless they change that would have to be like an amendment to the Constitution. But yeah, not going to be doing that anytime soon. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments here. If the miners are not profitable, what incentive is there to keep mining? Well, a lot of these guys have much lower price for electricity, right? So IREN is still profitable at like 39,000, right? So anything above that, they're still making profit, at least to cover their electrical expenses, and then they can actually get money to cover other expenses, maybe not fully, but they can cover most of those, right? So that's why you keep mining at that point. If you get to a price point where your electricity is now not being covered by what you're mining, then that becomes a problem, right? Because then now you have to pull back from, you have to pull cash from your cash pile or whatever it might be, right? So that's when things really get bad. All right. Okay, let's see. KO. Hey Seb, might have missed it. What are you looking to buy into over this winter cycle? I'm still looking to buy Bitfarms, CleanSpark, IREN, Cypher as well. Tomorrow, I'll be looking to buy into those. Ron says my crystal ball wasn't working at 125,000. That's why we're going down. I'm blaming it on you then. See, Sarman says CEOs won, shareholders lost. CEOs always win, regardless of who the company is, whatever they do. The CEOs always win there, right? They always win that. Pete's got a question here. I've lost 10% of my whole portfolio today. That's on top of a couple of 3 to 5% days. I'd like to understand what gives you the confidence for this sector to improve at all. The confidence is just from what I'm seeing from the other CEOs as far as how much demand they're having for AI and compute and all that stuff. And they don't have basically the infrastructure, the data centers to provide all of the compute that they have demand for. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. The advances that we're seeing also in AI, what's going to mean going forward, I think those are all positive things going forward. And I think there's going to be a lot of need for megawatts. And there's a battle going on between these companies as well. Everybody's trying to get to that, supreme AI, basically, where it's, I would say maybe not thinks, well, I think that's where we're trying to get to, is where it thinks by itself, basically, comes up with new technologies, comes up with new materials, cures diseases and all those other things. So I think that's what they're all trying to get to, and you need a lot of power to get there. We've seen, obviously, tremendous advances in AI, language models and training and post-training and pre-training and all that stuff. So that's kind of why I'm bullish on this AI so much. All right. Let's see. Christian says, Seb, you didn't take profits. Stop lying. You never ever admit it is time to sell. For me, yeah, I've said it many times. There's no shame in taking profits, right? So if anybody's looking to take profits, I always say there's no shame in taking profits. Perhaps you probably should do that. But yeah, I've never said that I've sold anything. I've sold things opportunistically to buy into other companies. I've done it with CleanSpark to buy into IREN. I've sold CleanSpark and IREN to buy into Cypher as well, right? So I've done those types of things. Christian asks, how much have you lost? I am down 50% from where I was. So at the peak, I was close to 3 million. So right now I'm at 1.5 for the whole portfolio. All right. See, Seb, is the total network hash rate tanking? I don't know, because I don't get obviously like up to date or by the minute numbers on it. But what I can show you is the latest data that I do have here on this. Let me pull this up really quick. Let me refresh this. We'll go to the 1 hour chart or 1 day chart. And right now, this is probably delayed at like 24 hours, 36 hours, something like that. It's delayed, I'm guessing. When's the last one? February 4th. Yeah, so it's like 24 hours delayed. Network hash rate is at 894. It is down from its peak, right, at 1.3x zettahash. But right now we are at 894. So it is down, mainly because Bitcoin price has been coming down. That's a result of that. Okay, let's go back here to Q&A. Try to catch up here. All right. Sorry, guys, reading the comments here. Try to pick the good ones here. All right. JB says, FTX news marked the bottom a few years back. We may have some news mark the bottom again, just when things seem like they get worse. Hopefully not. Rob, hey, Seb, is there any way to increase the amount of text you can have in the chat box? Not that I'm aware of. I think that's a YouTube thing. Let's see. JB says, lots of people in the chat believe it's so predictable they must have millions. Let's see there. Yes, I went from 977% to 467% on IREN, but that my baby, I'm recommending Bitfarms to early investors. Okay. KOA, let's see, not sure if my comment registered. I made out with my bags a while ago, holding cash, ready to get my bags back. What are you looking to do in the winter season, Seb? Nice hearing your voice again. Well, thank you. And yeah. What am I looking into this winter season? I mean, depending how far we go low, if we go low, I could see us going down to, if it's a repeat of the prior cycles, we could see Bitcoin going down to like 28, 35,000, something like that. I think maybe that's where we would bottom out if we have a repeat. Matt Jimmy says, this is my third Bitcoin cycle. They have all played out relatively the same, and this one has been no different. Q4 of 2026 will be the bottom 39,000. Okay, so I have 27 to, what did I say, 27, 35,000. Might be a little bit lower than that. Yeah, we'll see if it plays out that way. If trades, if these XBTC stocks that are focused on AI down, why do you guys care about BTC price? Some of these guys here for Bitcoin price helps them build out the data centers for like IREN. IREN was making a lot of money on it, and they were using that cash flow to build out the data centers there. Let's see, Ron Cecilia will be adding a massive orange dot this weekend. If he can get the cash for it, it might be a little hard for him right now. Let's see, Rob, so when you are the Bitcoin breaking point bottom, do the miners turn off their mining machines because it's not profitable? Yeah, a lot of times we'll see that. Some will mine for a little bit longer, especially like the publicly traded companies, in the hopes that it bounces back up and they'll hold on to the Bitcoin there for a time being. So that does happen as well. But some of the private miners, they'll probably turn off, right? Especially if they have older machines, they're probably turning off right now as it is on those. Let's see. If Trade says, Trump said for U.S. citizens to leave Iran, wondering if war is coming, prepare for the real dump. Hasn't he said that already before? Wasn't it like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? He said that also, and then nothing happened on that. I think they're working on some kind of deal for the nukes there, or nuclear program. I think they're supposed to have a deal by Friday, by tomorrow maybe. I don't know. But he says, Seb is right. It is 100% manipulation. If you don't believe him, watch Elon Musk with Joe Rogan. Musk talks about it very clearly. I'll have to rewatch that again. But I did watch it. Yeah, I mean, there's billions and trillions of dollars at these people's hands. It's easy for them to pull on some levers to get things to go down. Let's see, Seb, does your viewership peak during bearish or bullish markets? Surprisingly, tonight we're actually having a really good number of you guys out here. So thank you for coming out. but it usually is during bullish. When things are bullish, things definitely do much better. At that point, we have more people coming in. We get, plus 200 people coming in. At that point, everybody's kind of listening to what's going on, all that. Recently, we've been averaging somewhere between like 75 viewers to like 130 viewers or something like that a show, which is still great because I do this for you guys and because I enjoy doing this as well. Let's see, 4JA Jairus should have bought CleanSpark puts. Possibly. I don't do options. I know a lot of you guys do though, which is great. Let's see. Larry says, I live in Houston, Texas. Texas is embracing any and every data center with open arms, and ERCOT working amazingly with power structure for IREN. Okay, that's great to hear. Rob says, Seb, it's interesting how all sectors of the stock markets are going down and precious metals as well. Manipulation intentionally to cause a correction as per the bank's directives. Could be. Who knows, right? But does seem kind of weird that everything's kind of going down. It's just market's going down, sentiment's going down on all this stuff here. I could see if a company does bad or something like that. I could see a company being beaten down for, but you're seeing whole sectors being dropped down. So it's crazy. Let's see. Andrea says the Clarity Act should be passed in the next 2 to 6 weeks, and that should drive Bitcoin price up. I've heard actually that they're looking at possibly bringing that back in spring. Maybe that was incorrect. If that was incorrect, that's great. But I saw that as well. Jordan says, I'm buying tomorrow. Bitfarms, Cypher, Wolf, Iron Galaxy, Coin, etc. Nice. PGW says, Trump needs to settle the markets down. No confidence, no investments. The back and forth on tariffs doesn't help. I will agree with you there. Yeah. Let's see, Michael, why are we going now that I heard you say a reason? Okay. No, I don't fully understand that question there. Benny, it is very clear you will notice that when the market is going down, Trump is not tweeting or saying anything in the media. When the market gets hot, big boys short it and Trump says something crazy. Yeah, we've seen that play out too. When the market gets too low, even for him, he'll say or he'll tweet something like, right now is a good time to be in the market or something like that, or buy into the market or something like that. Remember that last time? That was basically the bottom of the Trump tariffs back in April. So he does do those types of things. So maybe we'll get that kind of tweet tomorrow where he says they bought Bitcoin or something like that. Who knows? Ann says the way to make money with Trump is to take profits often and buy when things go down. I don't totally sell everything. 1/3 or half. Okay. That's good advice there, possibly. And Aaron, what do you think of the MicroStrategy at these price levels, value or pass? It's definitely becoming a heck of a lot more interesting at these levels. Where's it at right now? 100 some odd dollars, right? It has definitely come way down from where it was. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, what is it? $106 right now. What's the market cap on this thing? The thing has got to be like a ludicrous market cap. Market cap 30 billion, right? How much Bitcoin does he have? He's got 700,000 some odd Bitcoin. That's still valued at roughly, still probably higher than that market capitalization right now as it is. So yeah, it's starting to get a little enticing on that one. Let me see how I get out of this chart. And you can see here, if I go to the chart, it hasn't been this low in price since going all the way back to here, which was back in August of 2024. Right? And that was before it had a nice run up here to 500 some odd dollars at that point. And it just went down sideways and continued to go down here. So yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more appealing at this point. At that point, when it got, around the $500 range, I was saying at that point, the MNAV on that is a little too high for my liking. I thought I was getting overpriced. And sure enough, at that point, it wasn't because of my call or anybody's, gotta slow down. It wasn't because of my call. It was just because I kind of saw the same thing that other people were seeing. It was just getting too frothy at that point. Okay. I think we're going to call it a day here. I think we've come to all the questions here. Let's see. Where was it? All right, there we go. Brown says, thanks, Seb. You're very welcome. Bevney, look at BlackRock. They were buying Bitcoin over 100,000. Y'all think they're going to lose money? Nope, they will drive it up. I think the same thing with you. PGW question: what's your take on the pending Supreme Court and the Trump tariffs? How will the market react to a negative decision on the Trump tariffs? Oh gosh. I mean, they've been kind of kicking that can down the road, haven't they? The Supreme Court. I don't know how it's going to get ruled, obviously. Will it get ruled as unconstitutional? Maybe. How will that impact the markets? Maybe the markets will go down because of that. Because then obviously it would definitely give some clarity, I guess. Maybe the markets would actually react positively to that, because that way we can't have one person just going willy-nilly, using tariffs as a beating stick, basically. So maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe. Benny says, don't forget, it's a lot easier for the big boys to make money from shorting when the market is hot than to pump the market. Panic always spreads easier and faster. That is true. Benny Doll says, market will go crazy on banning tariffs. It will, Seb. That's why Supreme Court won't say it right now and keep kicking the can down the road until after midterms. Yeah, I mean, but it could go up to the upside, right? Because if you get clarity there and you actually have tariffs that are going to be set in place, maybe I'm thinking contrarian here a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting, though. Michael asks, would you buy Riot at $6? And can you say one more time the price and did any doing a bond offering? Any, you're talking about Sphere 3D there? Or did they do any, did Riot do any? I'm not sure. I think they did do that wasn't a bond, it was just a convertible note, I think. Would you buy Riot at $6? It would be much more tempting, yes. I would say, yeah. But I think there's other companies that at least historically have done better operationally wise. So I'll leave it at that. All right. Anchor says, by TA, I wonder, I wouldn't enter MicroStrategy before it goes around 67.76. That's where the demand is. It can still drop further, but today's price level is just too risky. Okay, fair enough. Wraps this up. Forgive me for asking, but what is the actual BTC bottom when it's still profitable for miners? It depends on the miners. For IREN, it's 38,000, 39,000, right, where they're able to cover their electrical costs. So if it goes down to that, for Cleanspark, it's about 52,000. Cypher, I'm not sure where they're at right now. Could probably look it up. But they're all somewhere in between that range. Some are higher, obviously. Mara's higher. Mara might be, closer to 60,000 or something like that, as it is already. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it, right? They could still mine it, hold on to it. They're going to dilute to do it. Benny says, I mean, by crazy, I'll be very bullish. Okay. Bad for Trump because he will have to repay all that tariff. Yeah, that would be bad. Mark, how did you grow your portfolio so much? How much you started with? So I started my portfolio basically back in 2022. I had some crypto. I had at that point, I think it was the crypto that I had was valued at around $30-some thousand. So it wasn't much. And I basically done nothing to that. I've basically held on to that and didn't do anything to it. Got into a little bit of Hive back in 2017. Made a little bit on it. Sold it back. When did I sell it? Back in 2023, I think, 2024. Whenever that was when I sold it. Probably should have sold it at the peak of 2021. Then, lesson learned. But I started getting into more of these stocks here as I started tracking them more. In 2022, when I started buying into them, and I started just dollar cost averaging into them, right? So I didn't have anything like massive to put into it for my personal trading account. So I just started, we got the checks from the government, right? The stimulus checks, pretty much put all that stuff into the market, put that into the account here. I was just buying up CleanSpark, Bitfarms. Later on, got into IREN and Cypher, all that stuff. Any bonuses that I would make at my company that I would work at, I'd probably put most of it in there as well. So over those, what has it been, since 2022, the amount, and it's going to be rough amount, it's going to be probably like 80,000 or so, 80,000 or something like that I put into it over those couple of years, maybe 80 to 100,000, something like that. And my buy-in cost right now, or my average is about, I think, 150 some thousand. That's because I've done some trades where I sold like CleanSpark to buy more IREN shares, right? I've done that. I've sold Bitfarms to buy more CleanSpark, IREN, and Cypher shares. I've done those types of things as well. So that was just for the stock portfolio there. I also went in heavy in my retirement account, which had it at one point when I got into it. So that's been building since, gosh, I've been with the same company for 30 years, so that's been building for a long time. That got up to close to 200,000 in 2024? I think it was 2024. No, 2023. Right around there. At that point, we were allowed to invest in ETFs. Before that, we had to use mutual funds, all those, those target date funds, all that stuff. So we could actually pick anything good. So I just picked the best ones that I could on the mutual funds things. But once we got approval to get into ETFs, I went hard on WGMI. And that was the big wealth driver for me here. And now obviously IREN, CleanSpark, and Cypher have done also pretty good here where I'm still up on them. At the peak, I was up, almost $3 million there in total. Now I'm obviously down from where that's been, but that's kind of how those have all grown. So you guys know where I'm at. Okay, let's see. Okay, covered that one already. PGW says to sell high, buy low. That's usually a good formula there, right? Let's see, Black. Are there no catalysts that can drive the price of IREN back up before the end of the year? I mean, are there no catalysts? Deals, they get deals. That's going to drive the price up, obviously. I think markets going back up. Favorable attention into AI, I think is going to drive things up as well. Just an overall peace and stability in the markets, I think. All right. Michael says everything went quiet. And how else to grow your portfolio? Work a second job, like stuff that I was earning from YouTube, which isn't much, and also from the Patreon members. That was a big help. Also was plowing all that into buying stocks, work a second job. Just put off gratification. So put off buying anything that you don't really need. Put it into the markets, right? That's the way you make, possibly generational wealth. Let's see here. Look, guys, we are in a bear market where the miners are still affected by Bitcoin. None of these should have been a surprise. People called it out as early as October 2024. Okay. Love. Can't figure it out. Love. Diversified. Diversified is definitely good. Let's see. Kevin says about to break up 65.8. Trend is up. Okay, that's good. What's happening with HUT? They're working on building data centers and they're executing. Not much else I can tell you there. Michael says, these ads come up that it drown you out where we can't hear you. I'm sorry. I don't have control over that. Rob, I've been not seeing you in the chat for a long time. Hi again. Okay. And yeah, it has been in a long time too. Black Ice DK, if it feels like max pain in the markets has reached. Hoping, fingers crossed. All right, we're going on an hour and 40 minutes here as it is. My legs are starting to get tired from standing up. My back's starting to hurt as well. And I'm just tired. So I got to get some rest. I'm sure all of you as well do. But again, we'll see where tomorrow goes. I'm hoping that we've bottomed out here because it just looks like it. But time will tell on that. Thank you so much for coming in. I greatly appreciate every single one of you for spending the past hour with me. I wish you all the best on Friday. Hopefully tomorrow we have a nice, good green day on everything, but we'll see. And other than that, love you all. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great night.